When you think of the Nintendo Wii, you don't necessarily think of horror. The Wii had some pretty good horror titles for its time, like Ju-On the Haunted House Simulator, Manhunt 2, Obscure 2, and Lit for the WiiWare. It's a shame that there wasn't a lot of horror titles to choose from at its time for Nintendo, but yet again, Nintendo was more of a family-friendly console. Hello everybody, today we're going to be covering Calling for the Nintendo Wii. Calling came out back in 2010 and made by Hudson Soft. If you're a fan of foreign horror movies like One Missed Call and The Grudge, this game has aspects from those horror movies into this game. Being one of the few horror titles on the Nintendo Wii, this game did not do well in reception. IGN gave this game a 3.5 out of 10, and other sources gave it around a 5 out of 10. With that being said, let's take a look at why this game just missed the mark. This game has a fantastic opening act. It starts off with messages between Anonymous greeting everyone in the chat room. The chat room has Mako, May, Rin, and Anonymous. They discuss a website called The Black Page, a mysterious website that displays a death count. The website was rumored in a magazine where allegedly you can talk to dead people. Rin, the main protagonist, decides to visit the website due to her making a promise to a sick girl 6 years prior to this chat room. A person named Kuroneko joins and greets everybody in the chat room. Everyone's phones goes off and Rin decides to pick up the phone. As she picks up the phone, you notice a ghost girl behind her and the screen goes black. You now play as Shin and wake up to a phone ringing in a strange house. You may be wondering who Shin is. It took me a minute to figure out who's who, so Mako is Shin. That was just his username in the chat room. You are now in control and can explore the room you're in. There's a plushie cat in the corner of the room. This will be your save point within the game. I really enjoy the UI when you save and hit the pause button. It's a computer desk that has a bunch of info on it. You can click around your phone, you can see files, it's really fun. But do be warned, if you stay on the pause menu too long and when you exit out, you're going to get a jump scare of a ghost girl staring at you, so be warned. While exploring around, the lights go out. It gets really dark, so you need to find a flashlight. While walking through the house, you notice a door. When you walk towards that door, you hear someone say, "Don't go in there." The thing I love with this game is the Wii speaker. You have an option that adds sound coming from your Wiimote, so every time you hear a ghost call or like you take a phone call, and then the audio will come from the Wiimote and it sounds like you're actually talking on a phone, which I thought was a really neat detail to the game.
That's my phone. I'm at the exit. I'm coming to get it back.
After the ghost says don't go in there, you're given a tutorial on how to fight back with ghosts. Ghosts in this game will grab you and you need to shake your Wiimote to get them off. But you also need to run away from the area or the ghost will constantly grab you. At first it was scary, but honestly I was more mad than scared. Especially Yumi's ghost in the school, I'll get to her in a minute. But after fighting back, you find a storage room with dolls, and I want to say it's Hina dolls. I tried my best to accurately describe these type of dolls. I was in between a Kokeshi doll or a Mokochu doll. After exploring, you find a flashlight in a room. You notice the door is slightly open, but you realize you can't open it. You decide to put your flashlight through the door so you can see. While peeping through the door, you see an older woman on the ground with a bunch of dolls around her. Hearing a noise behind you, you turn around and see nothing, but while looking back at the door, you notice all the dolls are staring at you through the crack. You start to see black hair seep from the door, so you just have to run to the exit. The exit door is locked, so you need to shake your Wiimote to burst open the door. Upon opening the door, you are met with the same ghost from earlier who told you not to go in there. You shake him off and you start to run to your safe room until you hear the phone ring. When answering the phone, a girl says gotcha and a cutscene plays of Shin being frightened and the ghost appears behind him. Honestly, I feel like at this point in the game it loses many people, and I can somewhat agree. The first chapter has this hook that grabs you in, but if you're comfortable playing a game with just finding clues in a dark tunnel hallway, this might be for you. It's pretty repetitive because majority is just you running around the Mnemonic Abyss. The gameplay section has you bouncing around between characters Rin and Makoto. They're the most prominent characters you would play the most in the game. After we experience Chapter 1, Rin is the next person to enter the Abyss. Finding herself in a school after having a reoccurring dream,
またこの夢だ。しばらく見てなかったのに。学校？どうして私？
Shin joins her after exploring for a bit, and then they encounter a computer with chat logs. But then they realize there's a ghost behind them, sending Shin to run away. The one thing you're gonna notice in this game is Shin is a huge scaredy cat. When you first have an encounter with him, he's found locked in a school bathroom because he's frightened by the ghost, so you have to like free him out of there. So you're gonna notice a lot with Shin that he likes to run and scream a lot. After Shin runs off, the ghost just disappears. Now all by yourself, you explore parts of the school and have a brief conversation with Makoto, who explains that there's a connection between the Abyss and the Black Pages with cell phones. This conversation is cut short due to him seeing Sato Amano. Sato is Makoto's close friend who mysteriously died so suddenly and began researching anything about him, which led him to the Black Page website. Makoto's story in this game is mostly him just finding Sato's notes and trying to figure out answers of what happened to him and how they can be set free. After Makoto runs off and tells Rin he'll contact her later, Kuroneko appears and grabs her, which leads Rin to see the events that happened at the hospital. After the flashback was over, she calls her a liar for breaking her promise to her. After our encounter, we find Shin hiding in the school's nurse's office and explain that cell phones can teleport you, but before Rin can explain it fully, he dials a number, and what we saw in the beginning is the events that led up to Shin's death by Reiko.
鈴谷君。いない。これが転移？
You might be wondering who Reiko is. Reiko is the little girl that Rin made a promise to. Kuroneko means black cat, and if you notice, she has a little black cat plushie with her, so it's just fitting for her username. After witnessing Shin teleport himself out, Rin realizes that using their phones to teleport will kill them if they attempt to call themselves. For example, in this game you find other people's phones, and when you call it, you can teleport via their phone. So if I call my own phone, that would end up getting me killed because that's not how it works in this game. One thing I do like about this game is that it's kind of like an anti-cheating system, so if you find a phone number that you haven't technically found in the game and you dial it up, you get an instant game over because a hand will emerge from the screen and then you end up getting a game over. To test this theory out, she has another cell phone on her, so she decides to slide it underneath a door frame. She calls that phone number and she discovers that she's on the other side of the door. After she bends down to get her phone, she realizes that there's a ghost on the other side who picks up the other phone. Then Rin turns around and she realizes that she's surrounded by ghosts. I'm not sure if it's just me being dumb with this game, but Yumi, the girl who picked up the phone on the other side, she would not leave me alone for the life of me. This whole level pissed me off to the point where I had to come back another day just to finish it. Rin uses the number on the black page to teleport herself to a room full of dolls where she meets Chio, the older woman Shin saw laying down on the ground. Rin decides to explore the house and comes face to face with Shin's ghost. After hearing a phone ring, she makes it to the room and picks up the phone where Reiko gets close to Rin. We go back to Chio, and after Rin left to go explore the house, we see a ghost of a mailman who leads her to a void that teleports her to the hospital where she's supposed to be before the night day she entered the Abyss. We get to see what happened when she promised to see Reiko at the hospital. Rin was on her way to see her, but after crossing the street, she was struck by a truck.
今日は顔色いいね。元気になってきた？
After waking up at the hospital, she asks the nurse about Kuroneko, but the nurse states that she left a few days ago and can't give too much information about patients.
事故に遭った日、私この病院で人と会う約束してたの。でもチャットの知り合いなんでハンドルネームしか知らなくて、ここに入院している人だと思うんですけど、黒猫ってハンドルネームの人なんですけど、知りませんか？
知ってるわ。つい先日元気に退院していったの。
本当ですか？
でもごめんなさい。病院の規則でこれ以上患者さんの情報は教えられないの。
After exploring the hospital, you find the computer Reiko was using to chat with Rin, and we get a flashback of what happened.
玲子ちゃん、今日はここにいたの？そう。少し顔色もいいみたいね。さ、そろそろ検査の時間よ。1階で先生が待ってるわ。
We see that due to her being lonely and Rin breaking her promise, she jumped out of the hospital window. Now we shift to Makoto. Makoto wakes up at the school, and while exploring, the ghost girls taunt him while taking his notes and cell phone, which makes you go on a goose chase for it. While looking around for the notes and phone, you notice that Yumi's ghost is playing the piano, and you realize that she has the phone, so you decide to sneak up and steal it from her. Makoto wakes up in the dollhouse, and you realize that the house is overrun with ghosts. He runs to the black telephone and calls Rin and tells her the information about transporting to the telephones.
まさか君が出るとはな。そこは黒宮病院だな。
ええ、どうして白井さんが？
病院へ転院しようと思ったんだが、まあそれはいい。それよりよく聞くんだ。教会にはいろんな場所が点在するが、これらが発生したことの発端はその黒宮病院にあるはずだ。
それってどういうこと？
平たく言えば、黒のページを使って我々を教会に引きずり込んだ犯人がいる。
But he is jump scared by a ghost. Makoto wakes up again in the room, but with Sato.
Amano.
Sato says that he knew Makoto would be here, and Makoto says that he just followed him here. He followed his research and understands his work now, but something seems wrong with Sato.
俺はお前の足取りを追ってここまで来た。そしてこの教会に関してお前が調べてきたことも理解した。でもこれを通じてお前は何を俺に伝えたかったんだ？
取材してきたことをお前に知ってほしかった。ただそれだけだ。
Sato goes off about how journalists and editors don't have power to change events or solve issues. Makoto is persistent in saying that they can make people aware about the Black Page and stop Riko's expansion of the Abyss. Sato starts walking towards Makoto, saying, "Here there's a lot of mystery to be solved," and he kills Makoto so they can be partners forever. And that's the end of Makoto's storyline.
俺は白井に来てほしかったんだ。ここでコンビを組もうじゃないか。
Makoto's ending kind of made me mad because he did all this just to get killed by his partner, but I digress. Rin confronts Kuroneko and they finally have a one-on-one conversation. Rin pleads with her and says that will she listen to what she has to say. She tells her that she didn't break her promise and explains on what happened to her.
聞いてくれる？ 私約束を破ったわけじゃないの。あの日ここへ向かっていたのよ、本当に。でも途中で交通事故に遭って、そしてここに運び込まれて、偶然だけど隣のベッドにいたんだよ。もし私が目を覚ますのがもう少し早ければ。これは言い訳だよね。約束守れなかったのは事実だから。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさいって今更だよね。もう取り返しつかないよね。
Kuroneko walks to the window and recreates her jumping from the hospital window. Rin chases towards her and grabs her, but they end up both falling out the window and into the void. Rin wakes up in her room confused on what happened, but she notices the black plushie that Kuroneko has on the edge of her bed. After seeing the plushie, she decides to hug it, and that's the end of the game. I feel the calling can do really well if they made a remake of the game. If they rework some of the technical issues, I think it could be a really popular game. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this game is completely terrible, but some of the game does get boring. I personally wouldn't give it a 3.5 out of 10. I would aim towards like a 5 out of 10 because I know there's a lot of people who love this in game. When I doing my research, I found a website called the Black Page where it's like a fan-made like forum board, which I thought was really fun. I thought it was really cute that a horror community for a video game, they came together and created this website. I just want to say thank you guys for all the love and support on my YouTube channel. We hit 100 subscribers, which I was very confused because I was like, oh my god, a lot of people have been subscribing. And then I've been responding back to comments. I know a lot of people have been asking me about a schedule. I personally don't have a schedule yet. I kind of just make the videos on my own time. So I would say at least expect a video at least once a month. So I think maybe every 2 or 3 weeks there should be another video. But if you're ever curious about any upcoming video that I'm making, I highly suggest following my Instagram. I usually post a lot on my Instagram stories, so you get to see me working on something. So I usually post about me doing something in Premiere Pro, or like if I'm writing my script, or if I'm working on my thumbnail. So yeah, if you're ever curious about when new videos coming out, I highly suggest following my Instagram. But yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for all the love and support. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So bye!